Mike's Daily Podcast.
I'm slightly sunburned. Just a hair. Just a smidge. And these headphones are a little off. Welcome to Mike's Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Matthews. Back from a Florida vacation, my friend. I was shouting there, I know, a little bit. But that's how it is when you're excited and jubilant after a nice long vacation to see Mom. It's episode
Mike's Daily Podcast
1695, and the question I will get many times today is, how is your mom? Well,
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I can say she's okay, and I hope her back feels better. It wasn't feeling good when I got there, so she had to go through the whole trip with a bad back, unfortunately. So she put ice packs on it. That's how it is. But she's getting up there. She's getting close to 80, so good for her that she's made it this far.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And she still got around quite well. We used the, what do you call it, the thing with the wheels, but then it's got
Mike's
those things that
Daily
sit there to
Podcast.
prop you up. A roller?
Yeah.
A stroller? Something like that. She was using one of those quite a bit. She was using a cane last time I was there. A year ago, John McCain. I know that was the worst segue ever, but yeah, he passed away while I was in Florida. And they broke into America's Got Talent and cut off Tyra Banks right in the middle of her trying to improvise. Because what's fun, look who just walked in, on the East Coast where I was, is you get the live TV. In California, everything's been cut up and edited before you watch it. And Tyra was just messing up all over the place. She was talking about some wall. And behind this wall, I'm told the wall doesn't work. Okay, oops. And Simon Cowell's putting his hand in his face, planting his hand plant, saying,
"You will never, ever, ever have a career in singing."
Which I didn't know Tyra Banks wanted a career in singing, but hey, look who else walked in. Bunch of people. Hi, Mark. It's Benita the rodeo queen. How y'all doing?
Ain't the Disgruntled Fiddle Player tell you what?
What? Hey, look, it's Mike. Wow, he's here early. There's another Mike. There's multiple mics. And then there's, because it's a radio station, there's a lot of microphones. Look who else is here.
Hello, Mike. I make the delicious root beer. I'm the Brewmaster. Oh, boy.
And here's today's podcast picture.
And there's the root beer. Yay. I didn't have any root beer on my trip. I had a lot of beer. I had good beer this time. If you want any beer that won't make you gag, usually you have to drink the Yingling. Oh, hi, Basil. Oh, so good to see Basil. And my lovely lady friend. Oh, she's so beautiful. I went over to my lovely lady friend and I petted her head. I know that creeps out some of you, but you should pet your loved one's head. I know she's not a dog, but Basil likes it when I pet his head too. It's just a thing. It's a pet. You're petting. So what happened is so my lovely lady friend watched Basil the Boxer is what happened. And I went to Florida to see my mom. And I didn't have any root beer. But I had this wonderful beer. It's called Tomoka. They have a river called the Tomoka River in Daytona Beach, Florida. And it's very nice. And the river is beautiful. And there are a lot of houses on it. And people do fishing on it. And there's this amazing river grill there. Oh, it's this beautiful restaurant with all these levels. And it really feels like you're at a Disneyland attraction of some kind. And there's these docks, and sometimes you can see alligators. That was nice. And then I think what I was telling you about was, the Tomoka River Brewing Company makes beer there. I had one of their beers. It was like an Irish brew of some kind. It was so good. Oh, and then I had fish and chips there. I never have fish and chips in the Bay Area, but I do have Irish beer sometimes. But in the Bay Area, I never have fish and chips, even though you would think with all the fishing boats over it. But they're only in that one little spot in San Francisco. The rest of the time, I can't find fish and chips in the Bay Area that's not over $20 a plate. It's crazy. I don't like it. So, but I do have to say the prices in Daytona Beach, the restaurant prices, are getting up to San Francisco levels, shockingly. Because the last time I was there, it seemed very cheap. Now, not so much. But we went on a fun riverboat cruise. We went up, not the Tomoka River, but the St. Johns River. It's the biggest river in the land of Florida. Big river. Old Man River. I'm not going to sing that for you because that's just not. Look who else is here at Cafe Anyway, walked in with the wonderful Brewmaster. Oh, Mike, I think I'm in the podcast picture today. Mm-hmm. Yes, before we get to a bunch of Florida pictures, and then yesterday, speaking of boats, I had a special buffer day because I didn't want to go wake up at 4 in the morning. Figure that out. Like, hey, Mike, you're back from vacation. Get up at 4 in the morning. Because that's my job, to get up at 4 in the morning and take care of a radio station. No, instead, I decided I'll take an extra day off and spend it with my lovely lady friend. And we went and did a pedal boat on Lake Chabot in Castro Valley. This is turning into a travelogue show. I hope you enjoy it. Do I want to talk about how there's political things happening in the world? Not really. I will tell you that in Florida, and I haven't even looked up the results of the Florida election. Big election was going on in Florida with primaries and stuff. So many people running for governor. Well, it's the primaries, so a bunch of people. All these, and I asked my mom, she goes, I don't know. There's like 5 Republicans, 5 Democrats running. So my mom, because she's older, and seniors, they're not cord cutters. Let's just be honest. If you meet a senior who's a cord cutter, or even knows what cord cutting is, you have found gold, my friend. You have found someone who is the diamond in the rough. Because my mom...
That's gold, Jerry. Gold!
They probably bought a lot of gold. They sold all their stocks and bought gold. But hey, we got a new show on the radio station I work for, and it's called The Crypto.
100 archived episodes available. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe on all of our platforms.
Wow, that guy has an interesting voice. That's not me. Before you go, Mike, is that you doing a voice? No. The Crypto Show. That's what things are becoming when you're in money radio. You got to talk about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and fake money and all the rest of that stuff. Where's that sound effect I use for crypto things? There. So what happened is there's John Deere the engineer. I got to get familiar with all the characters at Cafe Anyway. I'm so glad I'm back here at Cafe Anyway. Oh, what a... Anyway. Cafe Anyway. And I got the sound effects working. And Joel did such an amazing job for me while I was gone. Thank you, Joel. Oh, my gosh. To find someone dependable who can do the amount of juggling that I do in the morning and deal with so many different types of people. And he did a fantastic job. From what I've seen, there's not a burnt-out, hollow shell of a crater left behind. There's actual people here. There's actual... So, I mean, I'm at Cafe Anyway, where I'm talking to you about Florida and talking about renting a boat. You can rent these pedal boats and go out on Lake Chabot. And what you do is you can... my lovely lady friend and I said, let's take my dog, Basil the Boxer. So we did. And he was he wasn't up to the idea, which apparently this happens with a lot of people. So they do let you take your dog on the pedal boat. So the guy who rents out the boats, he said, yeah, dogs are usually afraid. But then by the second time, they want to jump right on the boat, which I've seen this happen before. So I put Basil on the boat, and he's all nervous, and he's kind of, he's got his claws out, and he's clawing into the fiberglass of the boat. Luckily, he didn't scratch it. And it was amazing because we went out, and my lovely lady friend had to do the pedaling, and we got out to practically the middle of the lake and back. Got pretty close, and then it got windy, and then waves were coming into the boat and getting Basil wet. and he was starting to freak out a little bit. He was getting a little shaky, but I kept petting him, going, it's okay, it's okay. And my lovely lady friend with her amazing strong legs got us back, despite the wind blowing, despite the waves splashing the boat, and we got back and everything was fun. And yeah, so that was a wonderful trip, all in all, and a great buffer day. Bought some plants. You got to buy some plants once in a while. Get some. I got some succulents because it's California, and unlike Florida where it's everything grows. Oh my gosh, walking around my mom's yard and there's plants of all kinds and beautiful butterflies flying around. Just unbelievable. I'm like, Mom, your backyard's a botanical garden. It's beautiful. She said it is. And I go, yeah, it's wonderful. She hires a gardener, which I think that's great, you know, at her age to have a gardener, Chauncey Gardner. Just being there is important. I think that's why I don't have a gardener is A, I'm cheap, and B, I like being there in my backyard and going, oh, how are things growing out here? How does my garden grow with cockle shells? And what is a cockle shell exactly? And what the hell? So I was deciding to tell you about that jumping into my mom's pool was glorious. Oh, gosh. I know I talked a lot about the pool beforehand, but yeah, jumping in the pool, just the best thing. As we go outside a cafe anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast, somewhere in Castro Valley. It was one. Now, I wanted to tell you before I left, but I ran out of time, that it was the 6-year anniversary, last week anyway, of the timeline, the Facebook timeline, which now we just accept, but since has caused so many problems, so much headache and heartache. And 6 years ago, can you believe it? Just in that short span, it blew up in Mr. Zuckerberg's face big time. So
we have a basic responsibility to protect people's data, and if we can't do that, then we don't deserve to have the opportunity to serve people.
And it was also a year ago that solar eclipse happened. Remember the one everybody was, don't look directly at the sun, you'll go blind. You can't look at the sun head on, for you will go blind. And then people will come up to you and they'll ask, is you blind? So that would happen. And remember, everybody was pouring into Oregon and Washington, trying to find that spot, that little sweet spot up and down. And we had this total friggin' craze going on with stupid solar eclipse. And I saw it. What was cool here in Fremont, or Castro Valley, Mont, is I looked up and there were enough clouds obscuring the sun that you could see a little bit of the crescent going on. So that was nice. And I finally got to talk to some of the people that work in the building that I'm in, because usually we just ignore each other. And that's wrong in today's world. It's that it's wrong. That we should get together and talk to each other, and we shouldn't be so oblivious, is what I'm saying as we wrap up the show. Because the next show we're going to have even more fantastic talk, maybe a little more travel log, maybe we'll get to some actual news. Oh man, if anybody says the word white paper, and we have white papers on our website. Have you ever heard that? Have you heard anybody say white paper? If you check out our white papers at first off, if you say www. and then say the website, to me, you've just said, I am the oldest person ever, and that you want to put me to sleep. www, it should never be said anymore. That ended 10 years ago. We all understand. You don't even need to type that into an address bar anymore. Why do people say W or dub? I'm like constantly correcting people in radio, even though it's not really my job, but it's not my job. I know, I go,
Are you out of your mind?
Stop with the www, not the dub. Shut your mouth. Shut it.
Shut up! Shut up!
So that's all. You don't have to say. You just say the website, MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com, where you can find all the past shows, past podcast pictures, all the places to listen to this show, all the wonderful links to everything to find this show. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful place of happiness and amusement and merriment and whatnot. So check that out at the wonderful website, MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. And that is also, there was one other thing about it. The podcast pictures, too, can all be found there. And the ways to help out the show, MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. And then don't say white papers. There are no white papers at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. I don't even know what a white paper is. But next show, yes, it'll be the wonderful Madame Rootabega, Valentino, and Bison Bentley. Thank you for listening, and I'm back! Woohoo!
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Email Mike now at MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!